You're watching Maryland Politics here on TV Free Baltimore.
Hello, this is Paul Stefan, and welcome again to another edition of TV Free Baltimore's Maryland Politics. Today's guest is Kevin Leary. He is running as a Republican in District 8 for the House of Delegates. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Okay. I'm a lifelong Baltimore County resident. I grew up in Dundalk. I graduated in 1989 from Patapsco High School over there off of Wise Avenue. And after I got out of high school, I joined the military at 17 years old. And I came out of the military and joined the police department. I joined the Maryland Transportation Authority Police Department. And in 2006, left the police department for medical reasons and started working in the insurance and investigation field as a fraud and abuse investigator. Okay. And now I currently am part owner of a small business over in the Essex area.
Okay, and what is the business, can you say?
It's called Maryland Executive Protection and Investigations.
Okay. Is it private investigation?
Yes,
firm?
we do. We do private investigations. We also do some accident investigations for some of the larger insurance companies.
For insurance companies, okay. It's not like the client hires you or the lawyer hires you to look into things.
Every once in a while, we'll get a case like that, but for the most part, it's for
insurance companies.
A major. Well, we have a contract with a major company.
Okay. Don't leave their name in.
I
Don't tell their name. We're not giving them an ad.
I will not.
But anyway, but you are trying to represent District 8.
Correct.
And for those of us, including me, who don't have a lot of familiarity with that, where is Section 8 and what does it encompass geographically?
Okay. A basic geographic map of District 8 is from Philadelphia Road on the east side, from the city line up to Joppa Road, and then all the way over to Perring Parkway.
Okay.
So once you get up to the Joppa Road area, the top of the district, it's kind of jagged the way it's cut.
Up in there.
It's an odd cut.
As most of the districts are in Maryland.
Correct.
As we know, that needs to be redistricting again.
Correct. So basically, it's from Joppa Road south on the east end, all the way to the city line.
Oh, all right. I'll see. Okay.
Down Philadelphia Road, and then all the way around to Perring Parkway, and down to the city line.
Okay, so it would encompass Golden Ring? Or?
It encompasses Parkville, Perry Hall, White Marsh, Overley, Hillendale.
It's quite a district.
Rosedale.
Yeah.
It's a lot of different district area.
And is it also very varied demographically or no?
Yes. Yes, it's
from people who maybe have, working class up to, white collar, that kind of thing?
Correct. Mm-hmm. Like the upper end and up Perry Hall area, there's a whole lot of white collar type and blue collar. I mean, it's a good mix.
White Marsh too.
White Marsh as well. There's a good mix of both.
Okay.
Pretty much scattered throughout. Parkville and Overley is a lot more, blue collar, and Rosedale as well. But it's really a really well mixed.
Well, it's interesting. It almost sounds like it could be a nice little microcosm of Maryland in miniature.
It actually could. It actually could.
That's kind of looks like to me. Now, of course, is this your first time running for public office?
This is my first time running officially.
Officially? What does that mean? How did you run unofficially?
In 2014, I had announced that I was going to run, but then with my dad's medical issues and my youngest son graduating high school, I just didn't have time to follow through with it.
Okay. And along with that, so what made you decide at that point in your life, 4 years ago even now, to say, hey, I'm going to try politics?
Well, I've been involved with the community, so I've seen a lot going on since the last 20 years, to where it's just deteriorating in Baltimore County, and it's bad. The crime's getting bad. The schools are getting bad. We used to have the best schools, and now they're just like not all that great. I mean, they're not. there's a whole lot of discipline issues. There's a whole lot. I've been working with families and teachers and SROs, and it's just hearing some of the stuff that's going on in the schools has made me want to try to make some changes, try to help and make some changes so our kids can go to school and not feel threatened, so they can have a safe place to learn without fear and anxiety.
Okay, now, you talked about involved with the community. Have you been involved with community organizations over the years, or no?
I've been involved with my homeowners association and stuff like that, but I've been involved with some of the local politicians and trying to help them with some bills and help them raise money, basically, and try to get the right people elected.
So you've worked for a few campaigns.
I volunteered for a few campaigns.
I
wouldn't call it as like full-time working for the campaigns. I've helped
didn't
out.
Pay you, no.
Right. Well, I've helped out. I couldn't be in, working. And,
right, with your full-time job.
Right. I couldn't just drop my full-time job and go full-time campaigning.
Right. Now, again, not knowing, and most of the people who watch are not going to know your district, what is the composition now? The three representatives, which I guess you have three in section.
Right.
Are they Democrats? Are they Republicans? Who are they?
Well, we have two Republicans, Christian Mealy and Joe Cluster. I keep getting him mixed up with his dad.
Okay.
And then there's a Democrat, Eric Bromwell, in the House of Delegates. And we have Kathy Clausmeyer as our senator.
Okay. Now, have these people all been in there for a while, or what's, or are they one-termers, or what are they?
No, actually, Kathy Clausmeyer's been in there for many years.
As a state senator?
As a state senator.
Okay.
Eric Bromwell's been in, I believe, for 12 years, if I'm not mistaken.
So 3 terms.
And Christian just won in 2014.
So he was new.
And Joe took over his dad's seat, John Cluster, when John was, I think he was appointed to the Parole Commission by the governor.
So you're saying he got that appointed? Or
he was appointed.
He did not win
midterm. He was appointed midterm.
Gotcha. So really you have, it's up for grabs in a way.
Well, Joe does a great job.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, okay. Joe does a great job, as does Christian.
Okay, they all do good jobs.
Yeah.
Okay. So where is there room for Kevin Leary?
Well, Joe and Christian do a good job.
Okay. The other gentleman, no.
Well, the community is looking for new ideas and change. They are not looking. I speak to a lot of people while I'm out in the community, and everybody is looking for new ideas to try to make our community safer and to make things better for everybody, not just a particular demographic. They want everybody to feel safe. They want everybody to live better in Baltimore County. And the same old ideas are just not cutting it.
Well, I know, again, you talked about the mix in that district. Even that, it's split. You have 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat. It's not like some of them, like here in the 12th, you'll have 3 Democrats.
Correct.
And a Democratic senator. It's like all blue.
Well, and I'll point to in 2014 in District 6, where the Democrats were completely swept, and now it's all Republican.
Well, there you go.
So that just shows you the eastern side of Baltimore County is tired of politics as usual, and they want change.
It's changing, yeah. So that's good to know. I know that it looked to me when I looked up Maryland Board of Election results that in 2014 it was rather simple. 3 Republicans ran for nomination, so those 3 Republicans were automatically in the general election. Now this time there are 7 of you.
Yes.
What made that difference in 4 years?
I think the fact that in 2014 there was only 1 open seat, and now there's 2, basically on the Republican, as we look at it. There's 2 seats to go after. Christian is going to go over to Senate and run against Kathy. And then we have Eric Bromwell that we, would like to replace.
Now the problem is with 7 of you, and only maybe 1 or 2 of those 7s, which aren't really great odds, they're going to get in there. Where do you see, or how do you handicap your chances, and how do you stand out from the group?
Well, I think as a small business owner and I'm just an everyday average person. know, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a politician. I'm not, I'm a business owner. I try to help people. And I think I honestly believe that in this election this year, we will sweep the district. That's my honest belief. So I think this year is going to be we're going to see what happened in Dundalk, Essex area happen in the White Marsh, Parkville, Rosedale area.
Okay, and again, I guess we should get to that point, is to say, well then, why you, though?
Why me? Because I'm just an average, everyday citizen of Baltimore County, and I want to make things better. I'm not here to get rich. Right. I'm definitely not here to get rich. And as a matter of fact, if you look at my website, you'll see that I've made the statement, if I am elected, the entire time I'm in Annapolis, I'll be donating half of my salary to local charities, because I'm not here to get rich. I want to help the community. I want to make the community a better place.
Right.
And every time I do an event, a campaign event, I donate a portion of the donations to a local charity.
Right. Well, in your, career that you had, or careers, that's given you a certain perspective. What do you think they've taught you as far as being a law enforcement officer, being in the military, I guess being in insurance? What tools do you bring from those that will work well in Annapolis?
Well, I think being just in the military and in the police department, I've learned how to be a good leader. And I would not, I would venture to say that if you ask anybody who's ever worked under me, I'm the consummate leader. I will not ask anybody to do what I would not do myself. And that's just the way I've always been. I believe the military is what really instilled the good leadership in me. I want to lead people the right path. I don't want to lead people down the wrong path, which is, I believe, is what is happening in Annapolis these days, as we're being led down the path of destruction for the state. I mean, the governor's doing a great job. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I love Governor Hogan, and I'm on Team Hogan, but he needs help. He needs people like myself down there to help him get these problems straight.
Well, that's good. Now, what would you say, and we're not going to go general first, but I'll go more specific. What do you see as the important issues or the important concerns for District 8?
Well, for District 8, the most important thing that I see and what I hear is the school issues. Okay. We are having some serious issues in our schools, all over Baltimore County. Discipline issues, there's fights, there's people are getting raped or assaulted in schools, and nothing's happening to these people who are doing the crimes. We are trying to fix that. I'm working with the parent-to-parent network, and we've been down to D.C. to talk to the U.S. Department of Education to try to roll back some of these discipline things that were put in place in 2014, saying that we need to lower the amount of suspensions and expulsions, and they connect it to federal funds. So I think that's what's caused a lot of our issues in the schools. I think another issue in the schools is just the broken homes. The children, the people, not just broken homes, but the people are working 2 and 3 and 4 jobs, and they're not spending time with their kids like they used to. And the kids are growing up alone, and they don't have any kind of responsibility, and they don't know what responsibility is. They don't know that if you do this, this is going to happen, because they don't get that. And I honestly believe that our children need some sort of discipline, some kind of consequences for their actions. Another big issue in the District 8 is the crime. The crime is on the rise. And the police, they're doing everything they can to try to stop it, but the judicial system is like a revolving door. It's so busy that the people are coming in one door and getting a slap on the wrist and right out the other door. I talked to a city police officer, speaking of the judicial system, who witnessed a guy shoot somebody. He shot him in the leg. He didn't kill him, thank God. But he arrested the guy, took him to court, and the judicial system failed. They pled that down to a simple assault. The guy got time served and sent out on the street that day. this is the kind of stuff that's happening, and this is why the crime is just so rampant, because there's no kind of consequences for anybody's actions.
Right.
And the third issue really is, the high taxes, the taxes and the fees. And the governor's trying, but he's blocked in every way he possibly can be blocked every year by the legislature. And, hopefully if we can get down there and get 5 Senate seats and 7 delegate seats, they won't be able to override any of his vetoes anymore.
Ah, okay. Well, you put a whole array out there. Let me go back with schools. We'll take each one.
Okay.
Now, being a former police officer, I've heard all kinds of things about what the role of an SRO should be. And I want to know maybe your opinions on that. What do you think should be the purpose, or what kind of function should an SRO serve in a school?
Well, the first and foremost, it should be for security. His main job is to keep those kids safe and to be the first point of contact for those kids if there's something going on. They should be able to trust the SRO to go up to him and say, hey, this person is doing this, and he should be able to handle anything in the school. Speaking to some of the SROs, I'm finding out that their hands are tied by the administration. They can't make an arrest in the school without asking the administration. They write these reports, but they don't ever come out of the Baltimore County public school system. So we don't ever find out what's really going on in the schools until we hear from the students and the parents. And that's what we're hearing. These teachers are being bullied, and the SROs are being told they can't really do anything about it.
So you're saying that basically that doesn't even get to the media. Some of the stuff that goes on, that the school system keeps an officer of the law from doing his or her job.
That's what we're finding out, yes, in many instances. There's many instances where I've talked to people personally where they have gone to the police, and the police have told them there's nothing they can really do. They have to just file their reports with the school.
Okay, and is there any rationale? Has there been any thoughts about why would the school system want to keep that under wraps?
I believe, as I stated earlier, it's all connected to federal funds. With the DCL letter that came down, the Dear Colleague letter that came down from Washington in 2014, and they connected suspensions and expulsions to federal funds, and the numbers needed to be lowered.
Oh, so rather than expel or suspend the students,
they're doing in-school suspensions, so they don't count against their suspensions. So it's not really, instead of sitting in the classroom, they're sitting in the office or sitting in the cafeteria and doing their work. And then we have, the situation where a personal friend of mine's daughter in Harford County Schools was stabbed with a pencil by another child in elementary school. Now, we're talking
little kids.
6, 7, 8 years old.
Wow.
And the kid had already stabbed 6 other people, and nobody did anything about it. And finally, nobody called the parent. The kid came home and told the parent what had happened. And then the parent called the school to find out what had happened. And then they found out what happened. And again, they were told that they could, when this gentleman complained and said, I want this kid removed from my daughter's class because he's a danger to the other kids, they said, well, we can move your daughter. So now we have this kid being victimized by a bully and then being victimized by the system.
Right.
Because now this person needs to move to another school or another class and make new friends and start all over again. So it's double victimization.
Right.
And it's just being swept under the rug.
Well, for that example, and there probably are others, what struck me is this kid who's doing these stabbings with pencils, this officer who can't do anything now may have to do something with that person when they get older on the street.
Correct.
If it's not stopped now in the classroom.
Well, their rationale behind this was they wanted to stop the pipeline from high school to prison, which they have not stopped it. They have pretty much increased it, because now you have kids that are graduating from high school and they know no kind of consequences or no kind of discipline So they come out here on the street, and they're doing the same things they're doing in the schools, and we see it as the crime rate rises. And it's just, you're increasing the pipeline from high school to prison, because that's exactly where they're headed. If you don't have consequences for what your actions are, then good or bad, then how are you going to learn? You can't learn from no consequences. The only thing you learn is, oh, I got away with it. I can do anything I want.
Yeah, well, one of the candidate forums I was the moderator for, some people thought they were advocating to have SROs not in uniform, that they should be seen as a resource officer and somebody the kids can go to for resources, et cetera, not somebody who's basically an armed guard.
Well, I mean, in Baltimore County, I know there's not a whole lot of elementary schools that have an SRO, and I believe they should. They really should. The Perry Hall High School, for example, has 2 SROs, but there's almost 2,200 students.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know how they expect 2 SROs to handle a situation with 2,200 students, but it is what it is. I guess, the budget is the budget. We do have some in a lot of the middle schools, but I'm pretty sure we don't have any in any of the elementary schools. And I think if we get some SROs in the elementary schools and teach these kids that these guys are their friend, they're there to help them, then by the time they get to high school, it won't be such an adversary kind of relationship.
Well, they used to have that sort of a program. I know when my daughter was in elementary school, I forget exactly what it was called, but I'm not going to say
DARE program, I think.
Yes, the DARE program, yes. Yeah. I was going to say officer friendly, but
right, it was the DARE program.
And they stopped that, didn't they?
I'm not sure. You don't hear a whole lot about it because of the fact of having SROs in these schools.
Right.
But I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, because I was going to say that, I know when she was a kid, that was a thing. The policeman came in, he or she was your friend, and people you could go to, that kind of thing.
Well, in today's media, unfortunately, the police are depicted as not your friend.
That's true.
And as a former police officer myself, I can tell you, walking through shopping centers, you would hear some parents that would say, if you don't stop, I'm going to have him arrest you. Right. That's not the right thing to do, because if this kid is lost, he's not going to run up to me in a uniform and say, help me, because now you're telling him that this guy's going to arrest you.
Exactly.
You really shouldn't be doing that. I mean,
no.
But that's...
No. Some parents, it's their parents, that parent's concept of what a policeman is.
And that's what the media is portraying the police as. Everybody's bad. All the cops are out to get you. Right.
Which is bad, because I know, speaking from my own experience, and also what you used to see in movies and stuff, about the cop would walk the beat, and the guy with the vegetable or fruit stand would give him an apple and those kind of things. And the kids would know him and that kind of thing, talk to him, and he'd say, how you doing in school today? And I know because my grandfather was a Baltimore City policeman, and he was a beat policeman for most of that. And my uncle was a Baltimore City policeman. And these were, of course, different eras, not today. I mean...
Well, I think, if we would stop portraying the police as bad all the time, the only time the police get any press is when it's bad press.
Right.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that all cops are 100% good, because that would be a lie.
Right.
Okay, I know that. But, we're not going to say that all lawyers are bad, because there's some that are crooked.
Or politicians.
Or politicians. There's got to be a dividing line, and I think the police officers who do wrong should be punished.
Right. But I think I heard that theme that you brought up. There are people also saying that there should be an SRO in every elementary school in Baltimore County.
I believe that wholeheartedly.
You do advocate that too. Now, what about President Trump's idea of arming teachers with pistols?
Well, I've talked to a lot of people about that issue.
Okay.
I don't agree with it.
Okay.
For many reasons, but for the most of the reason is police officers, veterans, are trained in high stress situations.
Right.
Okay. When it's a whole lot different when you're training somebody to just carry and shoot than to train somebody to carry and shoot while somebody's shooting back at you. And I believe that not all, I'm not saying all, but there will be some teachers who may freeze in that situation. And then we have the person who's in the school, he now has another weapon. Because if they freeze, then he can take it, or he or she can take that weapon from them.
Exactly.
My opinion would be, my idea is to bring former police or veterans into these schools to help the SROs be their eyes and ears, not even have them armed, but just have them be in the school so you have somebody that's trained who can handle a stress situation and help evacuate the people or be the eyes and ears for the police officers who are responding. I mean, I think that would be a much better idea.
Well, with your concern, big concern I know you have, is with the schools, do you have any other strategies or ideas to make the school system better that you haven't talked about yet?
Transparency.
Okay.
We need to definitely, the people want to see what's going on. And I'll be honest with you, talking to some of our legislators down in Annapolis, getting information from the school board is worse than getting information from the CIA. They do not give up information for anybody. We have delegates that were trying to get information from the school board this year so they could make wise choices on these bills. And speaking of the superintendent situation, they wouldn't give them the information that they needed, the numbers as far as the suspensions and all that. They just wouldn't give it. I mean, they just completely ignored the public information request.
Right.
And it's like, it's ridiculous. The budget needs to be increased. We need better schools. The fact that we're teaching these kids how to take a test instead of how to live. You're not teaching them math to teach them math. You're teaching them math to learn how to take a test. Right. And when they come out of school, that's not how the business world works. If you don't know how to do something, you're going to fail. And that's the problem with what's going on in the school. We're teaching them how to take a test.
Right.
Not teaching them. You don't see anybody learning civics.
Right.
You don't see anybody learning
school.
Right. You don't see anybody learning home economics anymore. You know,
right.
It's all about. Nobody teaches them how to do their taxes. Like when I was in high school, they taught us how to do our taxes. And they even gave us situations where they gave us a certain amount of monopoly money and they taught us how to invest in the stock market, and we did practical exercises about how to invest money. And that's the kind of stuff that they don't teach anymore.
Right, exactly.
They teach how to take a test. Right. That's it. That's what their whole thing is.
Now, what was your number 2 issue? The next big issue that you mentioned?
Oh, the crime.
Oh, tell me about crime, because we have about 10 minutes left.
Okay, all right.
So I want to get into that and then do a few closing things.
All right. Well, the crime rate in the district, in Baltimore County as a whole, has been going up over the last 10, 15 years.
Wow. A
lot of gang activity, a lot of out-of-control children for the same reasons that we spoke of earlier. They're just, the parents aren't able to be home to control the children, so they're just wandering the streets and causing trouble, and there's no discipline. So the crime issues in our district have to be addressed. We need more police officers, and we need more visible presence in the community. I'm not advocating out walking on foot because most of the neighborhoods in Baltimore County would be a long walk. But we need more of a budget for police, and they need better equipment to work with. The outdated equipment that they get, that it's not going to work.
I mean, bringing that up, for example, because of all the even adverse attention Baltimore City's got, they are getting funding for things like updating their equipment. Do you think that's by taking the needs from Baltimore County are not in the spotlight, that's hurting Baltimore County for making those kind of requests, or nobody's requesting these updates?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with who is making the requests. Okay. And I don't believe. Wouldn't
that be the commissioner, or
that would be your county executive?
Oh, the county executive, right?
So
who's leaving?
Who's leaving? So I don't believe he has run our county properly. He is not doing a great job for the east side of the county. I know that. I know he's done a lot over here on the west side, except for Lansdowne.
Right, we don't get anything, believe me. But Catonsville, yes, us, no.
Right. But, you know, the new school that's needed badly here in Lansdowne is
The high
should
school,
be
yes.
should be top priority, but it's not. But the crime issues, like, we need to start holding the judges responsible. I'll just throw it out there.
Yeah.
We need to start holding the judges responsible for allowing these people to just walk in the courtroom, pay a fine, and walk out. There needs to be some kind of consequence for your action.
One of the things we've had on our streams and touched upon, we can touch upon it briefly here again, is the fact, again, the current county executives bringing in these housing developments which benefit city people, low-income city people, to move into Baltimore County. And in fact, we have graphics and things that we've showed on some of our streams talk about the amount of people who are moving out of the city, and a good percentage of them are coming to Baltimore County, but they're not bringing tax dollars with them because they're so low income. They're not paying a lot of taxes, if any, which brings the standard of living down for everybody in Baltimore County, but also then brings in, if not, you know, in reality, but because they don't have any money to begin with, it raises crime. They got to make their dollars somehow, and unfortunately, sometimes it's illegally.
Unfortunately, it is. Yeah. So I'm not saying that all Section 8 is bad.
Right.
I'm saying that
either.
You know, when people need help, we should help them. It should not be a way of life. There's got to be a time limit on these things. You can't stay on Section 8 and welfare and everything for 20 and 30 years. You know, I believe in education. We should educate our people better, and then maybe we could lower the amount of welfare in Section 8, and we wouldn't have to worry so much about it inundating the county from the city, because the city is downsizing their Section 8 program, and then the county is attempting, with Kevin Kamenetz, to bring it into the county.
Right. Now, I know it may be a little early, but do you have any endorsements as yet?
Actually, I have a couple.
Okay.
I'll mention one.
Okay.
Liz Mattori has endorsed me.
She's a friend of ours. We've had her in here as an interview.
Liz is a very good person, and I've personally endorsed her as well.
Oh, very good.
So I'll be coming out with a list of endorsements in the next few weeks.
Okay, we'll wait and stay tuned, and we'll get them back here, maybe even get you back here. And also, you'll have some upcoming events. I saw something about a breakfast with you on the 28th. Are there anything?
Yes, sir. Right? Actually, we are having a breakfast at the Silver Spring Mining Company on Bel Air Road.
There it is, yeah.
And we will be discussing school issues.
There we go.
I'll have two folks from Parent to Parent Network speaking, and I'll have two people from the current Board of Education, because as we know, the Board of Education will be changing this year.
Yes, that's true.
Because it's going to be an elected board.
Right.
Or a majority elected board.
Not so much all appointed by the county executive anymore. Okay. Good. And then, well, close to finally here, I want you to look into that camera over there and just tell people briefly, again, remind them why you're the choice in District 8.
Okay. All right. I am the choice for District 8 because I am a conservative choice, and I believe in your liberty, and I want everybody to be safe and have a healthy place and a great place to live, the way Baltimore County used to be. I believe the schools should be the best schools in the world, not just the country, not just the state. I think they should be the best schools in the world in Baltimore County, and they should be the safest. Our kids should not have anxiety about going to school in the morning. And I will do everything I can to make that happen. I am a small business owner. I know the problems that we have running a small business in this state, and I will work with the governor to make it easier on the small business because our economy relies on small businesses. And as a former police officer, I am a law and order kind of guy, and I'm no nonsense. I don't care what letters behind your name. If you do something wrong, I believe you need to be punished. And there should be discipline for even adults. So that's why I believe I'm your choice in District 8.
And remind people about your contact information, where they can find you.
All right, you can find me on Facebook at Kevin Leary for Maryland, and you can also find me at my website at www.kevinleary.org. And you can call me. I have a personal cell phone. It's 443-356-1164. If you have any questions, please call me. I'll be glad to talk to you.
There you go, folks. That's definitely transparency in politics right there. Thank you, Kevin, for stopping by tonight.
Thanks for having me.
It was great to have you, and we're going to have you back. I mean, be a friend of the station.
I will.
And, folks, that's the end of another one of our TV Free Baltimore, Maryland Politics shows. Please stay tuned for future editions where we give you a chance to look at people who are running for office that don't usually get a chance to be heard in conventional media. And so once again, I am Paul Stefan, and good night.
You're watching Maryland Politics here on TV Free Baltimore.